Hi everybody and welcome back to my YouTube channel, Leora Aileen. My name's Leora and I talk on here about books, reading, writing and sometimes other stuff as well. And today I'm going to be recommending books that remind me of Studio Ghibli and I'm so excited. I have several books on my list today. Some of them I've read already, some of them I am currently reading. There's a Studio Ghibli reading vlog coming your way very, very soon. And there's some books on this list that I still want to read. There's some books that are a cozy, cute, a good time, heartwarming, you know, stuff like that. And there's some more adventurous, like epic quest vibe kind of books on there as well. It's not like I based them on specific Ghibli movies. I just thought of books that I feel kind of encapsulate the vibe. And so this is very personal to me and how I look at Studio Ghibli movies. But I think what I like most about my favourite Studio Ghibli movies, which I think are Arrietty and also Howl's Moving Castle, is that it's so whimsical and wild and strange. At the same time, it's so cute and wholesome and heartwarming, and the characters are so lovable, the world is so beautiful. That's like some of the things that I really love. So those are things that we also find in the books that I'll be recommending today. Now I do know that a bunch of Studio Ghibli films have been based off of books, like Howl's Moving Castle. There's also Kiki's Delivery Service. I think My Neighbor Totoro is also based off of a book. And there's probably a few more. Obviously, I do recommend those books, but for this video specifically, I wanted to dive into some books that maybe are not on your radar yet. Like, possibly they are, but I just didn't want to recommend those, even though they are really good, and I do recommend you read them. So I guess I have kind of recommended them now. Anyway, before we get into the recommendations and the rest of this week's video, I want to thank today's sponsor because this video has been brought to you by Tapas. Tapas is a popular digital publishing platform for webcomics and web novels with over 75,000 creators, 100,000 series, and more than 1.6 million episodes. It's a great place for creators to tell their stories and find their audience, and a great space for readers to find their new favorite web novels and webcomics. So on Tapas, you can read stories in episodes, the same way podcasts and TV shows work as well. Every week, a new bite-sized episode is released. This could be a comic strip or a chapter of the web novel that you're enjoying. And next to manga and graphic novels and comics, there are many web novels to be discovered on Tapas as well. Today, I would like to highlight a new release web novel on Tapas. And this is actually from an author that is also a big Studio Ghibli fan, so it fits the theme of this video really well. And this book is The Rule of Fire by G.T. Song. Rule of Fire is an action-packed new adult fantasy, so it is definitely different from Ghibli, but it sounds very cool. In this urban fantasy, we follow Sarah, and she's a demon turned demon hunter. Next to her mission for vengeance, she is also sort of accidentally integrating into this cozy, tight-knit human community and learning what it means to be a human. Like, she's even falling in love with the neighborhood florist. All the characters are so diverse. They all have their own quirks. Sarah wants to stop her hunt for the demon Valorian, but he keeps coming after her, so there's nothing she can do. This story is definitely driven forward by the characters, and the world building is rich and atmospheric and beautiful. New chapters come out every Wednesday and Sunday, exclusively to be read in the Tapas app, totaling 50 chapters in total. You can read the first ones for free, and then you can either pay or wait for new ones to be released, but you could also discover many of the other things to be read on the Tapas app. So download Tapas now through the link in my description to read The Rule of Fire and discover a story filled with demon hunting action, ghosts, and found family. Thank you so much once again to Tapas for sponsoring this video, and now let's get back to the main event. So first up on my list is The Lonely Castle in the Mirror by Mizuki Sugimura. This is a book I've talked about before on the channel, but it's simply a book I hold near and dear. It is such an enchanting story that at the same time deals with some very important topics of mental health and teens being bullied and struggling with their lives, and I think that's something that a lot of people can relate to. We follow 7 students who are not going to school. Instead, they all hide out at home, they're in their rooms, they don't really want to go out, they don't really want to go anywhere, and then all of a sudden they find a magical portal in their mirrors that leads them to this whimsical castle, and this becomes their playground and also their refuge during the time that they should actually be at school. And then there's also a quest. They are tasked with finding a key, and the finder of this key gets one wish granted, but at the moment the key is found, the whole castle and all their memories that they've made together will disappear with it. So it'll be gone forever. Another thing, if they don't leave the castle before 5 p.m. every day, they will be eaten by the Wolf Queen. Now, all of these students have their own problems at home and at school, and they are all dealing with different things. And I think this book is so insightful and beautiful when it comes to dealing with mental health issues, which is something that is unfortunately still a taboo a lot of times within our society. And at the same time, there's such a whimsy and an escape from the real world, which is also one of the themes in the book. So it all just comes together beautifully. It's so well done. It's one of those books that has a really leisurely pace, but it feels really good while reading it, and it just works really well. And it really reminded me of Studio Ghibli specifically, I think, because it is strange and weird in the way that Studio Ghibli films can be as well, but then it's so beautiful and atmospheric, and it just, in my head, it was pastel. It was like beautiful watercolor backgrounds like my favorite Miyazaki movies, and it has this hidden darkness and edge to it that I also see in, like, for example, Spirited Away. So if those are things that appeal to you, I do highly recommend The Lonely Castle in the Mirror. Then next up on my list is The Girl and the Ghost by Hannah Alkaf. This book, I'm currently listening to it on audiobook, and the audiobook is marvelous. I highly recommend. This really reminded me of Studio Ghibli mainly because it is also this grand, mystical, mysterious creature that comes into contact with a little girl who's just not scared. She's not bothered. It's like, she's like, oh my god, a friend. And I think that is so funny, and that reminded me a little bit of Totoro, but if Totoro was low-key evil, because this creature, not nice. So we follow Soraya, and her witch grandmother passes away. Soraya has never really had contact with her, and then Soraya's witchy grandmother had a palisid, which is this dark spirit that is sort of attached to a witch, and when the witch passes, the spirit needs to find somebody else that is also of the same bloodline. Soraya is visited by this spirit, and she is super unbothered about it. She's like, oh my god, a new best friend, and she names him Pink, and he's like, I'm this scary monster, what do you mean? You gave me a cute name. And they go on and are great friends. But then of course the darker nature of this creature comes out every now and then and makes for a lot of trouble. This book is a beautiful blend of incredible writing and horror scenes that still feel cute at the same time. I've got no idea what's going on with that, but so far it's been great. I love the way that some darker themes and darker things within friendship are being brought to light. I think a great book, even if you're an adult and no longer read a lot of middle grade, it's just something I highly recommend. So far I'm loving it. I don't know how the rest of the book is going to be, but yeah. Next up on my list is The Spear Cuts Through Water by Simon Jimenez. I had never really heard of this book, but I found it specifically when I was looking for books to talk about in this video, and I really want to read it now, so it's great that I can share it with you. And this is a book with themes of family and identity, and it is more on the epic fantasy side of the Studio Ghibli recommendations. And a lot of people online think that this book has a lot of Ghibli vibes, so I don't know yet if it has, but I hope it does. So we follow two warriors who are shepherding an ancient god across this broken land that has been ruined by the tyrannical ruling of a magical royal family. The Emperor's sons are literally called the Three Terrors because they're so awful, and all their powers were gained from this god that they held captive. There's this guard who's broken by his past and an outcast, and together with the god they are escaping and hoping to change this world. This book has such a wildly high rating on Goodreads. I think it has a 4.2 something or maybe even higher, and people on Goodreads are so critical usually, so I feel like this could potentially be really, really good. I do feel like my high fantasy reading mood is coming back to me, so I cannot wait to pick this up at some point. Another book that I would like to recommend if you love Studio Ghibli is Cookie and the Sprite Garden by Amy North. I have started reading this, and this book is a delight, or at least it has been so far. There's like these illustrations around the rim of the book, and it is so stunning. It is so vibes and so cute, and it immediately made me very happy. And then there's also illustrations inside the book. The illustrator is Izzy Evans, and she did incredible work. It's beautiful. This one really reminds me of Ponyo specifically, just because it's a little boy who's like left a little tiny bit unattended, and he's following strange creatures around and ending up in magical worlds. So we have Henry, and his grandmother always used to talk about sprites. She was all about flower dragons, and she was hiding strange invisible creatures in her antiques, and everybody was like, okay, Nana, sure. But Henry knows that Nana is right, and so when she passes away, he goes on a quest to find her. Nobody truly explained to him what it meant for her to have passed away, so that's why he's like, I'm off to find Nana, and he ends up in this world in the sky filled with beautiful magical gardens and ghosts and well, maybe he'll actually find Nana, and if not, he'll at least find some magical sprites, I suppose. I don't know, because I haven't finished the book yet. So far, it's super cozy. I love the vibes. There's themes of dementia and also dealing with death as a child, but the tone of the story is more on the heartwarming side. And the cover alone just speaks to me. Look at those colours, it's beautiful. I can't wait to finish this book, and this is one I'll definitely be reading in my reading vlog if it ever comes online. Another book I want to talk about is A Fragile Enchantment by Alison Saft. Once again, the cover. Chef's kiss. Look at those beautiful pastel colors. Also another cover, but I don't like that one at all. This one is definitely superior in my opinion. I just love the color scheme of this. I think it looks incredible. I've heard some other readers talk about this book, and a lot of people were saying this is like a mix between Bridgerton and Studio Ghibli. And then I knew I had to pick it up. There's also a couple of my favorite YouTubers that I like to watch that have loved Alison Saft's earlier work, so I was immediately convinced to go read this at some point. But there's Neve, and she has this magic with which she can sort of put her powers into the clothing that she is designing and creating, so emotions and memories can be worked into fabric. I think that is such a cool power to have. I love when people can put their magic into things. Like, I've also read a book before where a baker could create like magical buns, and I know there's more books where things like that are the theme, and I just think that is such a vibe. I wish I were able to do that. There's this important royal wedding coming up in the neighbouring country of Everand, and Neve knows she has to go there. She would love to design the wardrobe for this wedding. She knows she can do it, so she travels to Everland, but nothing there is as she expected. Even though the balls are beautiful, the gowns are stunning, the vibes are vibing, there's also a lot of unrest, especially among the working class. The groom of this really important wedding, Kit, is also not really wanting to be married. It's really more of a political game that he has to go and be married, and him and Neve actually have some chemistry, and they are developing a beautiful friendship, and everything is okay until this gossip columnist starts to write about them, and they've actually noticed that there might be something going on there. I've heard people say that Alison Saft is really good at creating incredible worlds and beautiful descriptions, and I love when you're reading a book and it's just transcending, it's taking you there. And magical dressmakers, Bridgerton vibes, Ghibli vibes, what else could I possibly want in a book? I don't think I could want anything else really. Guys, I have another cute pastel cover for you. This is The Little Shop of Grand Curiosities by Iris Lake. Oh my god, it's so cute. I want to get it right now. So this is set in the city of Leora, which kind of sounds like my name, Leora, but different. So the city of Leora, and Ophelie's Little Shop of Grand Curiosities is the only bit of magic left in the entire of Leora. Ophelie knows she has to protect this magic, but everything goes awry when a mysterious and handsome traveller arrives at her little shop. His name is Apollo, and it says here, as the two of them embark on a long journey of self-discovery, Ophelie will soon realise that the most curious things in life lie right beyond the reach of one's comfort zone. And I hate when that's the case, to be honest. I love being in my comfort zone, and whenever I'm like, oh my god, I'm realising like I should get out of it, I'm like, no, but I don't want to. But of course it's great for a character in a book to have an actual arc. I mean, it's a good thing. I think this description reminded me of Howl's Moving Castle, just because of like the little shop and the handsome stranger. I was like, that's Howl and Sophie. And I don't know if Apollo in this book is as dramatic as Howl is, but I sure hope he is. And yeah, I could buy this alone for the cover because it's stunning. And then last but definitely not least on my little list of books with Ghibli vibes, I have A Psalm for the Wild Build by Becky Chambers. I loved this book. I think I read it 2 years ago now, or last year. I don't have any memory cells, but Becky Chambers writes marvelous, cozy sci-fi that is all about what it means to be human, what it means to be in connection with each other, and all of their books are just incredible, and this novella was no different. We follow a tea monk, and to be a tea monk in this world is basically to serve people tea and talk with them about their feelings and things that they are struggling with. And even though this tea monk has always carried a deep love and appreciation and respect for the job that they are performing, they also know that it's kind of not really what they thought it would be. Even though they love it and they will always have a place for it in their hearts, it's no longer fulfilling for them. And so they know they have to change something, but change is of course always very scary. They decide to leave all their tea tools and they go off into the woods. Like they're literally like, bye guys, I'm disappearing into the wilderness. And there they find this robot, and this robot really wants to know, what is it like to be a human? What does it mean to be a human? Robots have basically evolved to live separately from the humans, so this robot doesn't really know anything about what it's like to be a human other than the observations it can now make and the stories it has heard, because it's a robot. It doesn't know what human customs are, so it's up to our tea monk to explain these customs. Let me read to you from the back. Chambers series asks, in a world where people have what they want, does having more matter? This was such a lovely little read. I just highly recommend it. I've talked about it before and I will keep talking about it because it's that good. I know it's a series. I haven't read any of the other ones within the novella series. I have read some of Becky Chambers' full-length novels and I've also adored a bunch of those. I'm actually currently reading Record of a Spaceborne Few, but The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet is definitely my favourite. But this book, A Psalm for the Wild Bill specifically, really reminds me of a Studio Ghibli movie, and I think mainly because it's set in the wilderness and there's this tea monk and this robot who are, it's like such an unexpected friendship and an unexpected connection. I think that's something we see in Ghibli movies as well, and it's so lovely and heartwarming and touching upon some very real themes, and I love it. So those are some of the books on my list. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know in the comments down below if you have any other recommendations that reminded you of Studio Ghibli movies. Also, thank you so much to this week's sponsor, Tapas. Don't forget to check them out. And if you don't know what to comment, you can leave me a nice Studio Ghibli themed emoji. I am very curious to see what you guys come up with. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a lovely day and I hope to see you again next time on my channel. Bye!